Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Hi, today we are radiating clarity with Robyn Stevens, who is a Feng Shui expert here in Kansas City. And I tell you, I'm so excited to learn more about Feng Shui because I know just enough to make me dangerous. Right?
Yeah, sometimes I think Feng Shui is one of those throwaway words. People just say, oh, that's not Feng Shui, but they really don't know what they're saying.
They have no idea.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. So welcome, Robyn.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks.
And talk about this important subject because Feng Shui and having a clear functioning space, I mean, it helps everything. Tell me more about that.
You know what, it all counts. You know, we talk a lot about what we say, what we think, how we eat, and how all of that makes a difference, but nothing really works for us if our home is not set up to support us.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, you teach wonderful things and we learn these wonderful things and we want to incorporate them into our lives. Mm-hmm. But if we don't set our home up to support us, we're much more likely to just fall back into those old patterns.
Right.
So it's really, it has to be where we start.
That's right. Yeah, the home is foundation of everything, of course. Yeah. Now, how did you get into doing this?
You know, it's been almost 20 years, and I was in the backyard of my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, my husband's brother, and she was a landscape designer, and her client had hired her to do landscaping based on Feng Shui designs, and she loved it. She was hooked. And I remember to this day standing in the backyard and she's telling me about it, and I just remember like leaning into her going, tell me more.
Right.
And that was where it all started.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I always wondered if there's a precipitating event that gets people into
For most of us there is. I mean, within the Feng Shui community, we've got this really, supportive, wonderful group of people across the world, and everybody has their story.
Right.
And then, and when it hooks you, and my clients are like this too, it's like when it hooks you, you can't wait to learn more. You're just like, give me more books, give me more whatever.
Right. And so there are books and podcasts, other podcasts, there's websites out there. How did you learn to do this? How did you study it?
Well, it started off with, when Susie my sister-in-law was telling me about it, I usually am very much into analysis paralysis, but for whatever reason, I jumped right in. I didn't even know what I was doing. But I had her consultant come to my house. And the thing you need to know about this is my husband there's a place for everything and everything in its place. Mm-hmm. And I am more of, I like to stack, I like to shove things in drawers. I used to really like clutter. And that's really about the only thing we used to fight about. And he went out of town. I tackled this room that he'd been on me forever to get cleaned up. And I spent 8 hours in it. And I purged and I cleaned and I shredded. These were all things that my Feng Shui consultant, Shannon, had told me to do, and she actually put it into words on why it mattered. Or, she made me understand why it mattered and how clutter kills your focus and your ability to make decisions. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get all that. So when he came in and he saw the fruits of my labor, he just looked around and he goes, what made you do this? And I said, Feng Shui. And from there, he was so excited, and I was so excited. It was like a flipping point in our lives. And from there on, I just was reading everything I get my hands on. It was before webinars and podcasts and all of that. So I was checking out books and ordering books. And then I started following one of the authors that I really, really liked. And then it was, about 10 years after, a little longer, and I could see the third corporate layoff coming my way.
In what industry were you in?
At that point, I was doing field marketing for a telecommunications company.
Oh, okay.
Before that, I was a buyer for a large Kansas City company. Mm-hmm. But I could see it coming, and so I just went to my husband. I said, I'm going to get certified in Feng Shui. It's a good time.
Right.
Not really knowing what I was going to do with it, but I just took to it. I loved it. And as a student, I was going out and doing consultations with people for my classes, and those consultations were making such dramatic changes in those people's lives,
right.
I was hooked. It's like I realized I could help people change. I don't want to say change, but just shift into ways that made their lives happier, better, more fulfilling.
That is amazing.
It was amazing.
And so you mentioned the certification process. How long does that take, and what do you have to do to get certified in Feng Shui?
Well, every school is a little different.
Sure.
The school that I went to, it was a weekly class, and it was for about 6 months, and it was very, very intensive.
Right.
And I will tell you, that was only the first school I've been to. So Feng Shui has been around for thousands of years.
Really?
Thousands of years.
And where is it from?
China.
China, okay.
And I will tell you, I will probably study it for the rest of my life and not know everything. So I still am in school.
Interesting. Yeah. How long did it take to get certified?
My first initial certification, which was really very deep and what really, it was broad, it was deep and broad, but it was about 6 months. And then I started practicing and doing consultations. I realized I wanted to do this as a living. And then, I don't know, maybe a year after that, you just are always hungry for more. And It's like I knew there was more, and so I went and found my next teacher.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Have you been to China to study it?
I have not been to China to study it yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite word.
Yet. Yes.
Excellent. And so when you're doing a consultation, do you do those primarily in the Kansas City area? Can you do those at a distance?
Yeah. So for me, I love the one-on-one in-person consultations.
Right.
However, you can be effective. I do a lot of them online. Whether I've had clients that have moved to other states, and so as they get settled into their new space, we'll do something online. Or I have people locally who maybe they just want to focus on one particular area, like maybe their bedroom or their kitchen, and maybe that doesn't entail a full-blown consult. So we'll just get online and we'll do it.
Right. So you work with video, with photos, something like that?
Yes. Photos. I love getting people's floor plans ahead of time.
Sure.
What I will do is we'll spend about 15 minutes before a consultation talking about what's not working in your life. Do you find that you have more money going out the door than coming in? Do you struggle to find a life partner that's, at a healthy, happy, committed relationship? How's your career? Are you happy? I mean, just every aspect of life is represented spatially in your home. So you have an area of your house dedicated to money and prosperity. You have an area of your house or your home dedicated to love and relationships. So I'll take time with a client and we talk about everything that's not working, because if it's working, let's not fix it.
Right.
It's not broke. And then I have them send me their floor plan, because I can often tell by looking at somebody's floor plan why they might be having issues in their life.
Okay.
So just some, real basic ones. I was just working with a client before I came over here who they were struggling financially. They've got really probably more money going out the door than coming in. Well, they have several toilets in their prosperity area.
Oh, flushing prosperity down the drain.
Right. Yeah. Now, you're not going to move the toilets.
Right. What would you do about that?
Well, I'll tell you the biggest helpful tip I can give everybody that could be listening is put your toilet lids down. Keep your seat down. Cover that drain.
That's fascinating. And I just have to ask, how does all of this work? What is this? Well, how does placement of these things, how does that affect us?
So I guess let's go back for a second and talk about what actually Feng Shui is.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting here talking thinking, I don't know that we've really covered that part. But your home and how you live in it is like a living, breathing vision board. The things that are happening in your life, good and bad, mirror the way you live in your home. So my job is to go in and just look for the... I'm like a detective. I go and look for the things that aren't environmentally supporting you. Now, in conjunction with that, just like our mouths nourish our bodies, our homes are nourished by the front door. So the front door, we call it the mouth of chi, and it's how energy comes into the house, or chi comes into the house.
Right.
And when it comes in, we want it just to flow through the home, just slowly moving through. We don't want it to go so fast it gets stuck, and we don't want it to go we don't want it to go so fast that it's like going in one door and out a back window, for instance.
Sure, right.
But we don't want it going so slow that it gets stuck, because chi is vital to every aspect of our lives. And that's when things are working, our chi is healthy.
Right.
When things aren't working, we've probably got an issue with it.
And for those who may not be maybe they've heard of chi, but not really familiar with what it is, could you maybe explain that a little bit?
Chi is just like energy, and energy is everywhere. I mean, you know this. It's,
right.
It's the energy that propels our body. It's around us. It's in the walls. Every single thing holds its own energy, and like a purple pen. I love purple, so I want to work with a purple pen all day long, but maybe you hate the color purple, and you look at it and go, no, I'm not even going to pick that thing up, So
right.
every item just carries its own energy pattern.
Signature energy.
Signature, yeah.
Right, and so even our homes, because of course,
especially our homes.
Being a Reiki master, I'm very familiar with
yes.
the chi through the body.
Yes.
But I never really realized that the chi, of course,
right.
goes through the house, and it probably flows along the same pathways we walk through.
Absolutely. So when you come in, you don't want it to get stuck, and the ways that get stuck are definitely clutter, which I know you've talked about that here before.
Right.
Also furniture that's too big for the space, or too much furniture, or maybe it's blocking the pathway through the house, or it's blocking a doorway. That's when chi gets stuck, and that's really what most people struggle with, is stuck chi. That's when you might find that you're stuck financially, or you're stuck in a career that you don't love, or you're stuck in a relationship and you don't feel like you can escape. So it's
right. It affects every aspect.
Every aspect of your life.
Every aspect, right. And so you mentioned the front door and how that's very important. And I'm thinking, my front door, we don't usually use that. We tend to use the back door, the kitchen door.
It's funny, whenever I do presentations, that's one of the questions that gets asked.
I'll bet.
And so I'll have everybody raise their hand that actually uses their front door on a daily basis. There might be one person in the room. And that's typical. Most of us don't use our front doors on a regular basis. However, remember, we don't want our chi to get stuck or stagnant, or we don't want it to be, dead, so to speak.
Right.
So you have to use the front door. Now, when I say that, what I mean is, get your deliveries, go get your mail, open the front door and let some sunlight in, let your dog out the front door. But just make a point a couple of times a week of getting that energy moving.
Yes. Oh, I feel much better, because that's where I check my mail.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
No, that's great. That's great. And so can you just walk us through maybe what some of the main areas of the house might be?
So, yes. I whenever I do a consult, I always start, regardless of what's on our to-do list.
Right.
I always start with two areas: the entryway, because the mouth of chi.
Right.
So that's number one, and then the master bedroom, because
really,
if your bedroom is not supporting you, because that's where you go to rejuvenate,
absolutely,
to rest, to recharge your batteries. If that's not working for you and supporting you, nothing else in life works as easily or as successfully as it could.
Right.
So those are the two places I always tell people to start. And usually when people are talking about something that's challenging to them,
right,
most of the time, without seeing anything else in the house, they'll say, just take a look at your bedroom, declutter it, clean it. Just simply by cleaning it, that's an easy way to bring the vibration and the energy level up. And then remove anything that's broken, because frankly, if it's broke, you're probably broke.
That is very interesting. Boy, I'm just going through my house mentally at this point, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of thinking about what changes can make. But I do know that I just feel so much better when the house is clean. when my room is clean.
Yes.
When things are picked up and cluttered. Right now, my house is a fright. I would not have anybody over right now because it's just really horrible. Been so busy and not taking care of it. And I can feel it in my energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's what I tell people, don't beat yourself up. I mean, like clutter. I used to live in Clutterville. I mean, that was my MO. That's where I hung out. Mm-hmm. I visit there occasionally. I don't live there anymore. So, it's just a matter of sometimes you just got to reset. The other thing is if you're somebody who struggles to keep your house clean, treat yourself. Try to weave into your budget somebody to come in once or twice a month to help with cleaning, because then all of a sudden the organizing isn't nearly so overwhelming.
Right. I'm seriously considering that at this point.
It's the most wonderful gift that you can give to yourself, and frankly, I think for some of it's about survival.
It is. Mm-hmm. Oh, it is. Absolutely about survival, and it's just, I know that things would go so much better if I could at least get the dog hair off of the floor. And another question I do have, though, speaking of the dog hair and the cat hair, is how do pets affect the chi in a home? Is that part of the equation?
For the most part, I think pets are wonderful energy boosters.
Great.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you have to take care of them, and love them and make sure that they are
healthy.
They're healthy,
taken care of.
When they feel the love, that love comes back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
They're wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And kids, of course, oh my gosh, kids are lots of clutter, lots of energy, leaving things around the house.
And I'm not going to, that's a difficult one. When people, when clients have me over, a lot of times they want to address their children's rooms, and I think that's great. It's never too late to get them started. Mm-hmm. However, they have to be part of the consultation. You can't go in. That's their space. They need to own that space. And it's just somehow teaching them how the things on the floor negatively affect them. How it affects their focus and their ability to connect with other people. And I'm going to divert or go down a rabbit hole for a second. I was just at a client's house before I got here, and we were kind of peeking in the room, and I know her child is struggling a little bit. And one thing I noticed, this kiddo is 14 years old, and all of the pictures of him in the house were when he's a toddler.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of the toys are from when he was a little boy. And what happens is when our environment doesn't stay up chronologically with the age of the kiddos, they tend to not mature at the level that they should. So maybe it shows up in being very clingy or unable to make decisions or crying a lot. So it's just important. It's important to honor the past, but stay present with what's going on.
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Oh, and you know what? That makes a lot of sense, too, doesn't it? I do think that the artwork and the pictures that we have, makes a huge difference. So what would you say about that?
I think that is one of the most, though artwork probably generates some of my most fun client stories.
Oh, really? I would love to hear more about that.
Well, and there's so much symbolism and so many literal things with Feng Shui. I'll just give you a couple, one of which I share this story all the time. But one of my first consultations, my client called me up because she wanted to be in a happy, healthy, committed relationship.
Yes.
But that was not the energy of the men that were being attracted to her. Think of the whole like attracts like.
Right, of course.
So the boys, and she was a mature, beautiful, fun woman, total package, and I'm listening to all the guys that are being attracted to her, which are couldn't hold a job, infidelity, struggling with sobriety, or really usually a combination of the thing.
Oh my gosh.
I get to her house, and I go into her bedroom, and the light bulb went off, because the first thing she saw every single morning when she woke up, and the last thing she saw every single night before she went to bed, was a life-size picture of Johnny Cash in her bedroom.
Okay, but he's a successful person.
Remember his early days, the Man in Black, the womanizing, drug addicted.
This is true.
Yeah.
Right.
So in his older years, he absolutely came around. But Johnny, wonderful singer, we love him.
Right.
Probably not the role model we want for the kind of partnerships we want.
Good point. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have a story too. My brother, when he was expecting my nephew in the nursery, my nephew's room, he painted this beautiful mural. My brother's very into medieval studies and all of these things. He builds armor and he's really interested in that period. So he painted this beautiful mural of a castle with his wife and holding the baby in the tower, and then painted himself as a knight trying to protect them outside of the castle. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea, because he's always outside.
Yep. Holding a, and the did you say he was holding a sword?
He was he was on a horse with a
something.
A
weapon of mass destruction.
Right, exactly, right?
Yeah, so I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I just said I don't think that's a very good idea. That marriage didn't last, unfortunately.
I'm
but
sorry.
It was very sad. But I can see how something like that would be. It's what you see when you get up. It's what you see when you go to bed. It's important.
I have a girlfriend that has this exercise she taught me called order form to the universe.
Really?
And I thought our whole home, the way we live, everything we surround ourselves is like an order form to the universe. I had one client who, one of the reasons she called was because she was struggling. She was in debt. She was, there wasn't enough money coming in. There was too much money. I mean, it was just all a mess. And I went on the phone. I'm like, well, why do you think that is? She's like, well, I love to shop and I can't seem to get a handle on it. It's like, okay. So I get to her house, and all over her house were these little plaques and posters. Love to shop, gotta shop, take me shopping. I mean,
oh my gosh.
Even though she was saying, I need to get my shopping under control, what she was surrounding herself was with the messages to shop.
Affirmations, basically.
Affirmations, yep.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So did she make a change?
Yeah, I actually took all the I gotta shop things with me. So she was completely on board.
Right.
Or I had another client who was in a small, like, Prairie Village house, bedroom not much bigger than this room.
Right.
And she called me because she wanted to be in a relationship, and just, it was, nothing going on. Still waters. In her bedroom were 21 images of single women.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And that's really common with single women, to surround themselves with single women, which creates a life of being a single woman. So...
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so just maybe were they pictures of her friends?
It was everything. It was little dolls. It was the artwork of single women. It was pictures of herself with her single women friends. I mean, it was just, it was everything.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I've got in my room now.
Yeah.
And so, of course, like if you're wanting to attract a relationship, so would the bedroom be most important for that?
100%, yeah.
And so what are some of the other areas of the house that are important to different aspects of our lives, perhaps?
So, we have everything in our lives can be boiled down and put into one of 9 life categories.
Okay.
And these categories, like our health, our career, our love, money, are represented spatially in the home. So when you walk into your front door, in the far back right-hand corner of the house, that's your love area. In the far back left-hand corner, that is your prosperity. In the center of your house is health. So, and then there's several more, and it's hard to, talk about over the radio or over the podcast. But so and if there's an area of your life that's not, and I'm sorry, let me back up. So those categories are called, each one of those is called a gua. In a very specific order, that's called the bagua.
Right.
So the first thing that people can do is, if they lay the bagua over their home, and then if there's an area of life that's not working, let's say it is financial, go to that far back left corner in your home and just look and see what's happening. Do you have toilets? Do you have clutter? Are there things that are broken? Just look for some, basic red flags, because sometimes it's just so crazy obvious.
Absolutely. Like if you have a toilet that it's constantly running or something like that. Yeah, that's in my prosperity corner, apparently, from what you've said.
Yes.
Now, what if you've got different stories of your house?
So the main floor, you figure out the main floor and how it lays out. Then the floor above and the floors below mimic that main floor where your front door is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've got multiple stories, you lay the bagua over the floor plan, and each floor mimics.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Do basements count in that?
Yes. Everything counts.
Everything counts.
Everything counts. And so your basement, think about your basement as your foundation. And if your basement's full of clutter and it's dirty and it leaks water, it's probably difficult for you to disengage yourself from the past and move forward. If your attic is just a hot mess and it's full of stuff and it's, got all these things from your past, it's probably difficult to move, to move forward. The past may not be affecting you so much, but it's the future that's a struggle.
Oh, interesting. What about I'm asking all these curveballs, kind of going through my house. What about detached garages or detached parts of the house? How are
Everything
those?
counts.
Everything counts.
Now, if it's detached,
right,
you would probably want to take that bagua map and lay it over it just unto itself.
Okay.
But still, everything is attached to you energetically.
Sure.
Kiddos going to college. Their rooms at home and their rooms at school both can affect their energy.
Wow, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
What about traveling? When you're traveling, is
this
something to take with you?
Funny. This is the 4th time travel has come up in 2 days. I think I need to go on a trip.
I think you need to go on a trip.
Yes. I think, the thing about it is we all leave behind our energy.
Right.
Right? And, left behind energy or predecessor energy has a tendency to repeat itself.
Interesting.
So that's the first thing when people move into a new home. You absolutely want to, if you can't do it yourself, you need to hire someone to come in and clear out that old energy. But think about a hotel room that's super, transient in nature, constantly turning. So I carry with me a spray bottle, orange essential oil, and when I get there, I fill the bottle with water, put some oil in there, the orange essential oil, and then I walk around and I just clear the heck out of that room.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, I get in the drawers and under the bed and everywhere, and just the orange unto itself.
If nothing else, it smells much better.
Right.
Oh, and it's just clarifying. It helps focus.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea. Right. Yeah, I'm thinking of taking this huge trip next year, so that's a really great tip.
Yes.
Right. Are there considerations, speaking of travel and everything, are there considerations in luggage and packing?
I think, and I'm not going to lie, this is one I struggle with myself. Less is always more. Especially if you're going somewhere and you want to bring home some, wonderful souvenirs, or it's like everything else, space equals opportunity. And you want to leave enough space in your luggage that you can find those treasures and bring them home.
Yes. It's so funny, just instinctively, I've always felt that,
Yeah. I feel that, but I don't. That is definitely one of those do as I say, not as I do. Yeah.
Leave room for souvenirs.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, so many of us do have jobs where we have an office, we may go to a place, and we may be a little bit restricted with what we can do within maybe a cube, or a cube farm, or some other shared type of space. Is it possible to use these concepts at work? Yes, we probably should.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
I've left, before I like to call myself a recovering corporate addict.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so
too.
Before leaving, I've left Feng Shui cubes all over the place. Definitely Feng Shui, start with the clutter, making it clean, but then, a little live energy in the space, a little live plant that's healthy is a great way to bring the energy up. I would absolutely clear. I would keep really a spray bottle and orange oil at work. if somebody that comes into your space that you maybe don't have a lot of respect for, or you've had some conflict with, clear the space. If you're moving into a new cube or a new office, clear the space. Especially if the person before you, left under not good circumstances.
Right.
Remember, predecessor energy as it repeats itself.
Oh, wow. So, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So clutter, the essential oils, etc. Are there placement considerations?
You just like we would lay the bagua, the energy map, the Feng Shui map, whatever you want to call it, over our home. We can lay it over in an individual room like an office. You can lay it over a cube. You can put it on your desk. So if you're sitting at your desk, the far left-hand corner of your desk is prosperity. Great place for a life plant.
Terrific. Just that renews that energy and grows.
Well, yeah, prosperity. Every gua, every area is represented by a specific color, a specific shape, and a specific element. So prosperity is represented by the color purple, the wood element, and a rectangle. So when you think about live plants, of course, represents wood, and you think about a live plant which is rooted and healthy and vibrant and growing, exactly what we want our prosperity to do.
Absolutely.
So that's a great way to represent prosperity on your desk, within your business. It's just a really healthy plant.
Oh, wonderful.
And plus, just, plants unto themselves bring life, vitality. They are good about absorbing toxins, reducing stress. I mean, they take care of them. You don't want dead energy.
Absolutely. No, you can't have that. And then I know even in this office, I would love to have something like that, but I don't have any natural light.
There are plants that can survive, but I will tell you this. It's never going to be the first choice, but beautiful faux plants are better than no plants.
Is that true?
That's true.
I did not realize that.
You would be amazed at how just a couple of well-placed plants in here would completely energize the space.
That's interesting, and they don't even have to be real. Of course, that would be the preference.
Correct. But you want them to look as real as possible.
Sure.
And then you have to dust them and make sure
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Oh, that's so interesting. And then what about our cars? We spend so much time sometimes in our cars. Is there something to do to help the energy?
It's basic. It's just keeping it clean, maintaining it, changing the oil, cleaning the windows. Clean the windows.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Part of my work, I work with angels, and Archangel Jophiel always tells clients, wash your windows. She calls it a light bath. Clean the windows.
I love that.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes. Yeah.
It's clean all the windows inside and out, lift all the blinds, clear all the curtains just for a couple of hours, let the light come in.
Yes.
And I feel like it makes so much difference.
It's huge. Just to back up for a second, the doors in the house represent our voices. So if a door is stuck or not working properly, that could manifest itself in so many different ways. The windows represents the voice of the children, but also our eyes and our ability to make clear decisions, with all the facts, being able to see things the way they are.
Yes.
And so I do a lot of referring, painters and housekeepers, so many different things, electricians. But the one thing I refer more than anybody else is the window cleaner.
That is great, because I tell you, cleaning windows is a chore.
It is a chore.
Especially when the outside, you're talking about the outside windows, right?
Yeah.
So important. That's really interesting that you recommend that too.
Oh, yeah. So I love that.
Right. I just think it's wonderful advice. I mean, it just makes you feel better anyway.
So the client, I keep talking about this client, I just left, but I was looking around, I said, your windows look great. She goes, well, you had recommended this window cleaner in this this group I was in, so I had him come out. She goes, I told my husband I didn't know that clean windows could transform my life, but I think it has.
I love that.
It does.
Yeah. I know one time I indulged in somebody to clean the outside of the windows, and it made a huge difference just in the amount of light that came in. I was so surprised.
It's crazy.
Living on a busy street, lots of dust and soot.
Yes.
So that's a wonderful thing. And the cars, too. I mean, we don't think about the inside of the windows.
Right.
But with our breath and everything else, they get so dirty.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to do. I mean, I can imagine this applying to maybe school lockers.
It applies to everything. And nothing is excluded.
Purses?
Purses. I do a fun presentation on how to Feng Shui your purse and wallet. 100%.
Oh my gosh, so that is so fun.
This is my tip for your wallet. Like attracts like.
Yes.
If your wallet has no money in it, you're just attracting more no money. So keep money in your wallet.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I even have like a little reduced size, like $500 bill or something like that.
Yeah.
That is so fun. So I think I'm going to dig that out and move it to my new wallet.
Yes.
That would be lots of fun. Oh, that's such a good idea.
Yes.
So many areas that this really affects.
It affects everything. I mean, it really and I keep saying that, but it just does.
It just does, because energy is energy.
Yeah.
And so, again, the bagua is the basic layout.
Right.
And it's made up of different guas, okay, which are just different aspects.
Different areas of life, yeah.
Okay, health, prosperity.
Family. Children.
Oh, yeah.
Travel.
Yeah.
Helpful people. Knowledge, which is, basically not just what we learn, but any self-cultivation. Fame, which, it's called fame and recognition, which especially women get a little hinky about that one. They're like, it's really about how you're recognized and how people perceive you. And that's important, if we're looking to get a new job or make new friends or land a good client, whatever, it's important that our reputations are positive and healthy and
Yeah, I've heard it sometimes called the reputation corner.
Fame and reputation, yep.
Yeah. As women, we just don't, we shy away from that, don't we?
We shy away from it. And it's okay to have an area that's all about me, myself, and I, number one, because if we don't protect that and nurture that and take care of that, nobody else is going to do it.
They're not. Yeah, and it does apply to every aspect of our life as well. I know, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you've shared a few little things about some of the clients, some of the things. Do you have any really big success stories that you like?
One of my favorites is I had a client who called me. She lived in a small apartment. I don't even know, maybe 1,200 square feet. But she had taped her front door shut.
How did she get in?
Well, she used her back door.
Okay.
And it was the mouth of chi. So think about if you taped your mouth shut, what would happen?
Right.
So it was taped shut for about a year, and it was like her life just fell apart. She lost her job.
Oh my gosh.
All of her friends, it's like they just faded away. She was bit by a dog, had to have some major surgeries.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what made her look me up, but she looked me up and we started talking and went to her house, untaped the door, talked extensively about it.
Now, why did she tape her door shut?
Because there was a leak, an air leak, and it was instead of fixing it,
right,
it was her home was freezing. So the way she solved it was to tape it.
Oh my gosh.
So it was very quickly. I mean, she went to town, and from there we started talking about. We talked about things that hold energy. There was a sculpture that was in her living room that was very. It just didn't feel like her, and I remember looking at it going, "Well, tell me about this." Her sister had given it to her. It's like, okay, so you must love your sister. Well, not really. We don't get along very well. So you love the sculpture? No, I really don't. So the next thing you know, she ended up letting it go, but she just did so good. She cleaned and organized, and she ended up painting her door, and they got it fixed, and it was like, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, she got an unexpected check in the mail for something like $20,000.
Oh my gosh.
That stuff happens.
That is amazing.
One of my favorite personal ones, and this is before I started practicing this, my husband and I used to travel all the time. And for a variety of reasons, we stopped for about 5 years. And we were sitting on the couch one day talking, and I said, I really want to start traveling again. He's like, you know what, I'm ready to. So what we decided to do was to make a vision board. And we were going to hang it in the house, which this happened to be our garage, that was dedicated to travel. So I went out, I got the poster board dedicated to that color, which was gray for travel. We went and got I got some magazines, and we sat on the couch and we cut out the pictures and we talked about where we wanted to go, and we started putting this vision board together.
Yeah.
Hadn't even finished it when out of the blue he won an all expenses paid trip to the Dominican Republic. 5 stars. Really one of the best trips we've ever taken.
That is fabulous.
It was so fun. I'm like, Feng Shui, baby!
Feng Shui for the win. I love it.
That stuff happens all the time.
That is crazy.
They're awesome.
That is wonderful. And I know you write a regular article, I think, for Evolving Magazine.
I don't.
Okay, sorry about that.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you should write a regular article about that. But you've got your website, and you write on there about all the things you learn, all the things that you're doing, all the things you practice. I think that's just wonderful. It's a good resource. And so you can work with people here in the Kansas City area, where we are, or around the world.
Yep.
What's the farthest you've worked with somebody, do you think?
Gosh, great question. Most of my stuff definitely is one-on-one, but I have worked with people in Texas, Oregon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Random question, have you done like a business?
Oh, yes.
Oh, so you do?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic.
One of my favorite ones was a over the road trucking company. I've done. Yes.
They were open to Feng Shui?
Yeah. They were.
I
Well,
love it.
Yeah, we did it over the weekend, but yeah, it was good.
Okay.
But there's always there's the ones that you're expected, like the yoga studios and the you know things like that. But the fun ones that I love are the law offices, or I've done several of those. Motorcycle parts dealership.
That's crazy. You wouldn't think they'd be interested in something like that.
No, but people are getting more and more open and realizing that sometimes the things that aren't working are really, really hard, and they don't know where to start. So start with what you can control. You can control how you live.
Right. You can control your environment.
Yes, you can control your environment. And when you start to control that, you start to get clarity, and things will start to reveal themselves. Excuse me. And sometimes always that's the best place to start.
Sure, absolutely.
And the one I do tell people, if they're, I don't want people to get into analysis paralysis, so start with your nightstand. Just start with your nightstand.
I love it.
Take everything out, clean it, put it back, and, be very ruthless and strategic about what goes back.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Right, because it's just one simple place, but it's something that's right next to us for, the greater part of the day.
Yes.
We see in the morning, we see when we go to bed. So that's a great idea. So if somebody wants to schedule a consultation with you, what would they do?
They could go to my website, and there's a way to contact me that way. They can reach me through Facebook, Robyn Stevens Feng Shui, my Facebook page, or just call me. My number's everywhere. And
so your website, what is the website?
RobynStevensFengShui.com.
Fantastic. I see you've got your
Robyn
Stevens
little shirt,
with the bagua on it.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So we'll put the link in the show notes that anybody can look it up and contact you.
Love it.
For that.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you so much.
Oh, this was fun. Thank you, Christy. It was good.
I had a blast. Thanks.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.